You're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, and this is Breaking the Ice. Final 2 weeks of the regular season coming up in the coming days here, and I got only 2 guests with me today. It's a really sad day because none of the Devils guys could be here, but on mic 1, we got the host of the Triple Play. It's Tanner Price. How you doing, my boy?
Blue shirt's thee.
He's lying. He's lying with that one.
Say.
What we got over here? Mike 2, AJ Chasan, back again. How's it going? I know it's been rough, but let me know how it feels.
It's been rough, but just got to keep chugging along. 4 games, take care of business. Hopefully get one of those 2 wild card spots. When you're in the dance, you're in the dance. Anything can happen.
I'm your host, Connor Cupen. And, boys, let's get right into the playoff field. It's the most important thing.
No, it's not the most important thing.
You see, second is the best. You know what I'm talking about.
What?
First is the worst, second is the best.
Okay.
So second thing, it might not be the most important thing because the best thing is second.
Okay.
All right?
Okay. I see.
First thing first, NHL playoff field. A ton of clinchers this past week. I think at least 3 spots in each division have been clinched. It's just the wild card races now to get decided. So let's talk about the first thing. The Metropolitan Division, all 3 teams in the Metro have clinched their divisional spots. The matchups are not set in stone, but the 3 teams that will be in the Metropolitan Divisional spots are the Carolina Hurricanes, New Jersey Devils, and New York Rangers. Tanner, which of these 2 teams do you want to see come round 1?
I'm saying the Devils. I know the Rangers have beat the Hurricanes more times in the playoffs, but the Hurricanes are the Hurricanes, even without Svechnikov, are one of the best teams in the NHL.
Without a doubt.
They have a better team built for the playoffs, is what I'll say. But the thing is, if the Rangers do make it past one, they're probably gonna have to play both of these teams if they make it past the first round, because Carolina will probably win their series against one of the wild card teams. Could be against the Panthers. Sorry. What would happen if there was a Panthers-Rangers?
Panthers-Rangers?
Panthers-Devils.
Okay, so that would have to... For that to happen, the Cats would have to hold on to the 7th seed, and they have the hardest schedule left. But it's not impossible at all. They're as hot as ever right now. They've won 4 games in a row for the first time all year. This is legitimately peak Florida right now at the tail end of the season. But before we get into all that stuff, I want to give props and give anti-props to all the teams that deserve it out there. A ton of eliminations and a ton of clinchers this past week. So let's get right into it. I want to start off with the eliminations because I feel like, you just got to get the bad stuff out of the way.
Okay.
4 teams have been eliminated this week from playoff contention. The St. Louis Blues and Jordan Binnington will not be dancing. The Philadelphia Flyers, losers of 4 straight, not dancing, been eliminated. On top of that, the Vancouver Canucks, AJ's favorite organization, eliminated. And last but not least, the 2018 Stanley Cup champion, Washington Capitals, eliminated all this week.
No. We're going to need to rack back that boo. Say Vancouver Canucks one more time, and then it's got to be a cheer after that, because that organization in the playoffs, terrible. So the Vancouver Canucks, you're right where you need to be. Man, that just made me happy.
4 eliminations on the week and way more clinchers. Let's get into the playoff clinchers this week. A big different list. First off, the Vegas Golden Knights, the first team from the Pacific Division to clinch a playoff spot. Not only that, they've clinched a divisional spot this week. They will be a 1-3 seed in the Pacific. And after that, the Boston Bruins clinching the President's Trophy. They're a 60-win team and by far the best team in the regular season. There's only one 50-win team. They have 60. They have clinched the President's Trophy, which means they're going to lose in the first round and the second round this year. What are we feeling?
First round.
To Florida or to the Penguins or to the Islanders?
I'll be nice to the Penguins. Close to the Penguins.
Penguins get the 8th seed.
Yeah.
And there is another clincher here. The Tampa Bay Lightning, for I don't know how many straight years it's been, they're back in the playoffs, and they are confirmed playing the Toronto Maple Leafs first round. So we're going to get into that one specifically. It's the first confirmed matchup in the playoffs this season so far. Beyond that, the Edmonton Oilers have clinched a Pacific Divisional playoff spot. They will be 1-3. The LA Kings have also clinched the Pacific Division playoff spot. They will be 1-3. So the Kings, the Oilers, and I believe the Vegas Golden Knights have clinched all the Pacific Division playoff spots. And beyond that, Dallas has clinched a spot. The Minnesota Wild have clinched spots. Not playoff spots in the division, but wild card spots. A ton of clinchers, a ton of teams. The entire Atlantic field is set. The entire Metro 3 teams are set. The Pacific 3 teams are set. The Central's all up for grabs. All 3 teams in the Central could be wild card teams. I don't know what's going to happen there. There's just a ton going on. And everyone, now let's give all of them a clap. Because on top of that, last night, even the Colorado Avalanche, defending champs, they clinched a spot too. Now, they could fall to the wild card as well. So the Central has everything up for grabs in these last 5 games. There's 5 games left for some teams, as low as 4 for like Florida, the Islanders, the Penguins. And I want to get into that specifically. So each division has 3 teams eliminated and 3 teams clinched, except for the Atlantic. The Atlantic only has 1 team eliminated. That's proof they are the best division in the league. They have the best team in the league. They have Tampa in that division, the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's the best division. You can say what you want about the Metropolitan Division. The Atlantic is the best division in the league.
Of course, the Panthers fan is saying that.
I'm not saying that because of Florida being in that division. I'm not saying that at all because of that. They're the only division with only 1 team eliminated, and that eliminated team still has racked up 66 points. So their worst team is better than about 3 of the other divisions' 3 worst teams.
I need whatever you're on.
What are you talking about?
I need whatever you're on. So, and here's what I'm going to counter out that argument, right?
All right.
So, we're just gonna rack it down the division because I'm sorry, I'm not counting your bottom 3 teams in whether your division.
They're still in a playoff race.
Don't care.
Are they making it?
Don't care.
What?
Are they making it though?
Are they making it? No.
If we had the show tomorrow, it would probably be a way different story.
They'd probably be eliminated, but neither here nor there. So we're all going to agree Boston, right? They're out of this group, out of the East. They're probably the best team in the regular season, of course. Then who are you taking in the playoff series, Carolina or Toronto?
I'm taking Carolina.
I agree. I'll take Carolina.
Okay, who are you taking in the playoff series? You got Carolina or Tampa?
Who? Carolina or Tampa?
I'm taking
I'm
Carolina.
gonna give Tampa, bro.
Carolina.
All right, so Tanner's 2-0 for the Metropolitan. Connor's 1-1. All right. Carolina or Florida?
Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina.
All right, so we got 3-0, 2-1 to the Metropolitans winning both of them. All right. So those are all the teams that are relevant in the playoffs that Carolina would face. Devils, are we taking the Devils or are we taking the Maple Leafs?
This is really difficult.
I'm taking
the
Maple Leafs.
I think I would take them too, honestly.
All right, so we got 3-1 and we got 2-2. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Are we taking the Devils or the Lightning?
Tampa.
Wow. Tampa. I'm taking Tampa.
All right, so we got 3-2, and then now we got 3-2 back the other way.
See, this is going to be biased when the Rangers come
Devils, Panthers.
I'm taking the
Yo,
Devils.
honestly,
Connor, you're taking the Devils.
No.
I know it.
No.
He's taking the Cats?
Give me the Cats.
That's wild, but okay. So we got 4-2, 4-2.
They tied the season series 2-2. They had them at the Prudential Center every
Rangers
time.
or Leafs?
Whoa.
That one I'm going to give the Rangers.
I'm taking the Rangers, but I don't know how confident I am in that.
See, I told you, this is not as simple as a clear-cut decision.
But it is the Leafs in the playoffs, and they do this every season. So.
Rangers or Tampa?
I'm going to go with Tampa
Find
there.
that out tonight.
I'll go with Tampa there.
I would take the Rangers in this series.
I'm going with the Rangers in that one.
Rangers deep. They're deeper. They're better.
We'll find that out tonight when the Rangers take on the Lightning.
Neither here nor there. Rangers or Panthers?
That'll give
Rangers.
the Rangers.
Okay. So, right then and there, you've already said that, but the more metropolitan teams would win more playoffs.
Those are just the playoff teams.
Huh?
Yeah, the playoff teams.
That's
I'm
what
talking about the whole
matters.
division here.
Okay,
That's what
who
matters.
are you taking? The Red Wings or the Hurricanes?
Or are you taking Columbus or any team in that
That's
division?
what matters. Those are the teams that
Or are you
matter.
taking Philly or any team in that division?
Who are you taking?
That's what
Boston or
matters.
Columbus?
All right, next week. There's Columbus, Philly, Washington. What's on one of either the Islanders, Penguins, Panthers, Sabres, Senators, Red Wings, or Canadians matter?
That very well Sabres could matter. The Metro teams won't.
Are they going to
could
matter come next week?
Could
There's a
totally
very-
matter.
There is
Totally
a very,
matter.
very, very good shot that two metropolitan teams could make the playoffs.
That's very true. It's very close. Could have 5 Metro teams in the play. I honestly, is there a second Atlantic team? Unless Buffalo has 2 extra games on everyone, which I don't know how they did the scheduling like that. But they have somehow just got these 2 extra games just sitting in their little inventory there. So the game last night against Florida was huge against them. And I want to get into that now as well, because it seems like with every passing day, it looks like between AJ and I, just one of our team is going to make the playoffs and not the other, because I feel like the Islanders, they have lost 2 straight, and they do get Tampa again, but then they get the Flyers, Capitals, and Canadians to close out the season. So but
it's not that isn't I could see them losing one of those games. The Islanders always seem to just lose games when they really can't afford it, or they just seem to lose a lot. So I think if the Islanders make it, they will win 1 game max in the playoffs. They're not that good of a team. I don't see them doing much. I think it'll be either one of the. I think it'll be Penguins, Panthers.
Penguins, Panthers.
As
the dream right there. That's the dream.
As the wild card teams.
But I don't know who could be 7 or 8 though, because look, here's Pittsburgh's schedule closing out the season. They got the Wild. That's tomorrow. So they have 4 games. The Wild, but then it's Red Wings, Blackhawks, Blue Jackets. Like, it's quite literal. Like, how do you feel about this? AJ?
Well, I don't think the needle moves one way or the other with the loss to the Devils. I'm going to be completely honest. Like, as much as it pains me to say, right now the Devils are the better team. I don't think. I just kind of caught. You just coughed right there. I kind of just
that was a sneeze.
It sounded like a cough, but kind of just threw up my mouth a little bit thinking about that. But neither here nor there.
What?
Huh?
What?
Just thinking about it.
Okay.
All right, you know what? We're gonna. All right.
Just thinking about the Penguins being worse than Devils is just not good. But it doesn't move the needle one way or the other. For Minnesota, right? The Penguins have played them historically well this year. They played them well. They beat them last time they played them, and over the course of the last few years, the Penguins have their number. Am I saying that they're going to absolutely win this game on Thursday? No, I'm not. Because with the Penguins, you never know. You're either going to get the Penguins that are going to score 6-7 goals and they're going to dominate you, or you're going to get the Penguins you're going to get last night's Penguins where they skate around and look old and slow and shouldn't be on the same ice as teams. So you don't know. But at least it's home, and the last 3 games versus Detroit, Columbus, and Chicago. People are going to look at that Detroit game and sort of scoff at it. The Pens are 0-2-1 versus Detroit, or 0-1 rather. They could get swept by Detroit this year if they lose this game. That is not a gimme at all. It's at all whatsoever. Especially with that game being in Detroit too.
Yeah. The Red Wings. I mean, the Red Wings. They're out. They're not technically out, but it's not like they're a bad team.
They could very, very, very well lose that team.
Yeah.
The schedule does work out for the Pens to where they're gonna be able to control their own destiny.
Yeah.
It's not like they have like Murderer's Row.
Yeah, and
coming up.
They play Chicago and Columbus to close off.
It's not like they're really gonna get truly battle tested.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you have to take care of what you can take care of.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to take care of the teams that are in front of you. And if the Pens do it, they'll be in a playoff spot. If not, just do who Florida and New York, the Islanders have to play. But if they don't take care of business, they're going to be sitting on the couches looking at what the heck just happened this season. There's going to be major changes in the front office and probably in the coaching staff.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
So out west right now, the Pacific Division is locked up here. Edmonton actually moving to the second spot, but there's a lot of changing going on. And in the Central, Minnesota dropped to 3 after a tough week. Dallas and Colorado up all the way up to first and second. So Colorado's back at the top of the division. As you said, AJ, they would be just fine. Wild card spots right now, Seattle holding one there, but that's the highest they can grab, where Winnipeg could possibly even get into a central spot there. But they have to fend off Calgary and Nashville, which I have full faith they will be able to do. Those are the only 2 teams left in the West that even have a shot. There's only 10 teams there possible. 6 have clinched. Seattle, Winnipeg, Calgary, Nashville, all just waiting, seeing what can happen. And Calgary's got to win out, it seems like. Their overtime losses are helping them, but tonight they play Winnipeg. Huge game for this playoff race. And I think the Jets are going to get it done. They've been winning good games. Right now, 43-34, sitting at the second wild card spot. I think they get it done tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said last week that I think Nashville is going to get the second wild card. I retract that statement. I just looked at their schedule the last 5 games. All of these teams are very good, and I believe all of them right now are currently in a playoff spot.
So let's see Nashville.
Carolina, Winnipeg, Calgary, Minnesota, Colorado.
So not Calgary,
not
but
Calgary,
the others, yes.
but Calgary is right there. That's going to be that might be one of the biggest games of the season.
Yeah,
because the biggest game of the season.
Yeah,
right now, Calgary versus Winnipeg.
Yeah,
that very well could.
No, it was Nashville.
No. I'm thinking this with the Calgary versus Winnipeg.
Calgary Winnipeg tonight is
It's the biggest game of the season.
It is.
Why? Because when you look at Calgary's schedule, like past this game, Vancouver, Nashville, San Jose, last 2 games are at home.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Again, what we talked about with Pittsburgh. It's not murderer's row here. Like if they can control what they can control and beat the teams in front of them, they're gonna be in the playoffs. Yeah. As much as Connor's gonna hate it with their many overtime losses, as much as we hate the point format, they control what they control. They're gonna be in the playoffs. I think they get it done tonight. They run a better system. They're better. They're by far, in a way, the better coach team.
Yeah.
As much as I'll scoff my head at Darryl Sutter sometimes. He's one of the better coaches in the league. And just when push comes to shove, I think overall for a 60-minute period, they're going to play a better game.
Yeah.
But they do have the disadvantage of coming off a back-to-back on the road. That's not going to help them. But they'll lock it down.
Yeah. I think this will be. This is. I would say it will be. This is the biggest game of the season so far tonight. Yeah.
Without a doubt, I agree. And I just want to get into L of the week for the week here. I'm going to give it to the good old Washington Capitals. Lost 4 straight games, played themselves out of a playoff spot. Honestly, they feel like they get L of the month because they had a good shot. And They just completely ruined it for themselves. You could give it to Ottawa, but they're not even eliminated yet, and they had a bad week. But no team that's left in the playoff field has done terrible things. You know, I'm not going to give that thing to a playoff clincher. Absolutely not. And so moving along here, the West, Central's up for grabs. Anyone can land anywhere. Pacific, it's really just the wild card race. It's kind of set. It's kind of shift around teams. Metro, huge dogfight between out east, the Islanders and the Penguins, because all the divisional teams are set up. So now it's sort of just you looking at this wild card race as a whole. And Florida, absolute dogs this whole week. 4-game winning streak. Beat Toronto in overtime. Huge win. Took down Montreal, took down Columbus, as they should have. Columbus was 7-0. And then you get a game against the Braves like last night. They give up a goal on the first shot of the game from Buffalo. Unfortunate. Gets called back because Alex Tuck was offside. Like his skate was fully across. So this wasn't even close. So they get that goal back. But then they scored a power play with Dylan Cousins anyway, so it was like, okay, come on, you're going to do all this just for that. But luckily, Florida's power play comes back. Aaron Ekblad scores a goal. Tie game. Alex Lyon goes crazy. The defense goes crazy. Second period, Brandon Montour fires one. Matthew Tkachuk tip in, the superstar. AJ was talking to me earlier. Do I miss Huberdeau and Weegar? I do not miss Jonathan Huberdeau just for the straight-up fact that Matthew Tkachuk is on the team, but I do miss Mackenzie Weegar's defensive presence. Not that Brandon Montour hasn't filled in his role extremely well. So they haven't added a great defenseman to the team, but Montour has taken a step up tremendously this season. He's a points machine. He has 67 points, 53 assists, and he's not even a line one defenseman. So he's been incredible, and he's taken a very good step. And I think this Florida team, 4-0 this week, played no better than any other team. I mean, played better than every other team, I think, in the league. The Islanders didn't have a great week at all. Only won one game. Wasn't able to pick up the points they wanted, but they were able to get some. At least it wasn't terrible. They lost to the Lightning 5-0. They lost to the Hurricanes. They were able to beat the Capitals, which ended their season. Now, Pittsburgh, 38-40. It's coming down to the... I feel like, dude, I don't know who's going to make it. Like, by next week, we might not even have the answer. Literally by next week, because the regular season ends next Thursday, I believe.
Yes.
Next Thursday, the regular season is over. But alongside 4-0 week, team of the week, Florida Panthers. They were the worst team in the league last week, and they're the best team in the league this week. Incredible.
There are 2 games next Friday.
2 games next Friday. What are those 2 games?
2 games are Buffalo-Columbus. Probably won't matter anything.
So probably won't matter.
Colorado-Nashville.
So
that might mean something.
Might matter if Nashville wins games this week.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not over yet. We got 9 more days of the NHL regular season.
Feels like the season has flown.
I think this show made it fly by.
Yeah.
Honestly. So let's get into some potential first-round matchups. Toronto, Tampa, the confirmed first-round matchup. Who's taking this series? We've been talking about it all year already, but now it's really here. Like, it's actually here.
I mean, this is a hard one to predict because I would take the Leafs. I would take the Leafs. I know I shouldn't, use this as a reason for something, but them not being able to win a first round playoff series, I know it's a tired out joke, but it still is true. It seems like it's true every season. So that has to be going into that series. That has to be on every player's mind, and I think all the Leafs players are just they're going to have that at the back of their mind, and they're going to struggle, I think, because of it, because they want to meet these expectations, and they know that if they lose, it'll be another season of the same dialogue around the team, and I just think that'll be too much for them, and I think Tampa Bay will win the series. I think, like last year, it does go to Game 7, but I think Tampa wins that again, and it's another year of agony for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
AJ, how you feel about this one?
I was telling you about it a little bit earlier, and I'm going to make this comparison, obviously not on the same level of caliber of teams, but this almost reminds me of 2016, 2017, 2018 Washington versus Pittsburgh. When Washington, had the better points, had the better record in the regular season with 16 and 17, arguably had better rosters in 16 and 17, but Pittsburgh they had their number. They were able to squash that bug in the playoffs. They were able to beat both on Washington. Those 2 teams, they ended up winning cups, right? Washington, in the back of their mind, knew they had to get that monkey off their back to be able to win that Stanley Cup. They had to beat Pittsburgh, but they went in and they got it done. They had the better roster on paper for 3 straight years, and eventually on the 3rd straight year they got it done. I think that's exactly what's going to happen in this series. Toronto was here's my thing with Toronto. This is their best roster they've had in this time of the running joke if they can't win a playoff series. Eventually, they're going to have to slay that dragon. They're going to have to get that monkey off their back, and they're going to beat Tampa at some point. last year, you could have made the argument Toronto should have beat them last year. They're up 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
They're up 3-2 with that series on home ice. Didn't get it done. I think that's more or less what they're going to be thinking of, rather than the narrative of, hey, we haven't won yet. Because I just don't think that's how athletes think. I don't think that's how they're wired, and they're competitive people. They're going to turn it. They're going to turn this into something that's going to motivate them, because if they lose this series, right, I think Kyle Dubas has done enough to be able to, at the trade deadline, we've said that, to where if they lose a series, he should be fine.
Yeah.
But changes are going to have to be made.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have. It's just going to have to happen.
I think Keefe could get fired if they lose the series.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's been how long has he been the coach of the team? A while. Yeah.
A while.
And it seems as if the same thing has happened in the last 4 years. They have a really, really talented roster, and then they just blow it in the playoffs.
Well, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen this year. I have Toronto this year. I think it might go 7. I'm predicting them at 6, but more or less it should be a great series.
I do think, as you made the comparison to Washington and Pittsburgh earlier, I think if the Leafs make it past this first round thing,
the
they're going deep, because I could see them beating Boston. I could see it.
Next week I'm gonna have a spicy hot take in here with the goal. Once we start picking who we think's gonna go to the Cup, I'm gonna have a spicy hot take in here.
I think Toronto's able to win this year as well. I just feel like it's their time.
Yeah.
And they play. I looked at the games they played versus Tampa this season, so they have one more, and that is coming up to end the season. That'll be a deciding factor. But the 2 games they played, Toronto won handily in one game, and they lost in overtime in the other. But that can go either way. You never know what happens there. It looks like they only played 3 times this season, which is odd to me, because usually play the teams in your division 4 times. Am I wrong? Am I wrong for thinking about it that way?
No.
Oh, I did incorrect math. That's what happened.
Yeah.
I did some incorrect math. So, I feel like some of your division teams you'll play 4 times, the rest you'll play 3. And so they only got 3 matchups this season, but they're going to meet in the playoffs regardless, and I agree, 7-game series, because this is one of those series where, who is better? Who is better?
Mm-hmm.
Even last year you could kind of argue who was better. If it was a 5-game series, the Leafs should have won.
Yeah.
So, that's how I feel about playoff series sometimes. When a game goes to 7... When a series goes to 7 games, it's sort of like maybe not necessarily a team was better than another, but they won another game. Either team could have won that series. There's not a clear-cut better team. It's just you got to end a series at some point. Imagine if they were win by 2. Imagine you had to win a series by 2. Mm-hmm. Ridiculous. They could go on forever. You'd never know who's going to win something like that. But this is Toronto's time. It's time for Austin Matthews to make it to the second round. It's time for Mitch Marner, Nylander, everyone. Make it to the second round for the first time in their careers.
Yeah.
And Tampa, they've enjoyed going to 3 straight Stanley Cups, winning 2 of them. It's time for it to be over. But one more thing here. It looks like Carolina could hold on for the lead in the division. Devils, Rangers, most likely going to take a first-round matchup there. So let's get into those now. So, potential Rangers matchup. If it's Rangers-Canes, is it just like last year all over again?
Wow. I don't know. The Hurricanes to me are the scariest team for the Rangers. Because they just have I know the Rangers have beat them multiple times this season. I think they're 3-1 in the regular season against them. But they just seem like even without Svechnikov too, they're missing one of their better players. They just have that physicality that they play with, that they don't need to score, and they don't need to score 4, 5, or 6 goals to win. They could score 2, and then once they get up by 1 or 2 goals, they could play physical the whole time, play shutdown defense. and then they just take over the game from there, and then by the time you realize that you need to change, you're already out and done in the game. It happened. I was shocked last year at that Rangers Hurricanes Game 7 when the Rangers put up 6 goals on them, because the series before, when the Hurricanes were on home ice and when they get the second change, they matched up perfectly against the Rangers. That they just shut them down. I had never seen the Rangers play that bad last season than they did in those games, game 1, 2, and 5 versus Carolina. They looked better in the losses to Pittsburgh when it was like 7-2, 7-3, whatever. They looked better in those games than they did in those games. So that has always scared me when I think about possibly facing the Hurricanes this year, because it's just scary.
AJ, I got a question for you now. Penguins fan, let's say they sneak into the playoffs, right? Which team? Okay, obviously Carolina's the 2, possibly could be the Devils, who knows? Or Boston's definitely the 1 seed. If they sneak in, who do you want?
Boston.
Got into
Wow. Here's why. With Pittsburgh versus Carolina this year, have not won a single game. They didn't win a single game, and they haven't even proven that they can even skate on the same ice as Carolina. Versus Boston, both games have been decided by 1 goal. And decided by 1 goal, and Pittsburgh has skated with that team, I would even say, better than 26 teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh has they can play with Boston. Are they going to win that series? No. Am I picking them to win that series? No. But I think if they play Carolina, they're on not borderline, but definitely like red alert sweep watch.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could get. I think they would act. They maybe win 1 home playoff game. Other than that, I think they could get walked right out of the first round right now, unless if something unforeseen I've seen in this next week, which I don't know what it could be, because other than Minnesota, they're not really playing teams that are great. Unless if I see something this week that just screams to me that they're 2016, 2017 Pittsburgh, and let me tell you right now that ain't happening. They're not beating the Carolina. So I would rather see Boston, just because I know it's actually going to be a respectable series.
What about if you had the Devils in there?
No.
You would rather play Boston?
I'd rather play Boston.
I'm going to be real to you. I'd also rather play Boston. I don't know what it is, but Florida this season, if the Devils can somehow... Okay, let's look at that realistically, though. The Devils have 78 games played. Carolina has 77. So not only do they have a game in hand, they have 3 points up on them. So that could potentially be a 5-point difference. It's going to be really ridiculous for them to kind of match that now. Because the Canes ending to the season, one is against Florida, but they get Nashville, they get Ottawa, they get Detroit, they get Buffalo. They get like the entire Atlantic pretty much to finish the season. And if you look at the Devils' schedule to end the year, let's see what we got here. The Blue Jackets, Boston. That's going to be a tough one for them. Sabres can put up a fight if they're still going for that wild card spot, and then they got the Capitals. So both teams, I don't know if the Rangers won't catch Carolina, right?
No.
Okay, so Carolina's at the top there. So as a Florida fan, it's Carolina or Boston pretty much, and Florida against Carolina this year. So they won the first game 3-0, dropped the next one 4-0, and then they finished the season against the Canes. I believe their legitimate last game of the season is against Carolina. That will be the day after next week's show. So that'll get a better understanding for a potential matchup against Toronto, but that's even if they get past the first round. Against Boston this season, Florida's been very surprising. They were one of the first teams to beat Boston, actually. So in the third game of the season, they lost 3-5. So they put up a solid fight against that Bruins team. Then they beat them 5-2 the next month, and that was in like the height of Boston being the best team in the league at the very beginning of the season. Then it cooled down. They got beat by a touchdown. It was 7-3. Touchdown, field goal, blah, blah, blah. But then they win the next game in overtime 4-3. So they can take that Boston Bruins team. Now, all of these games, I believe they were pre-trade deadline, so it's a different Bruins team. I get it. And that same Bruins team is rolling right now. But I just don't know what they can do against Carolina. That's a really tough decision for me, honestly, because I feel like Florida had problems with Carolina in 2021. It was like the team they just could not beat. And so I'll never forget that. And even though Svechnikov is now injured, so that could see, honestly, we're going to have a huge, different, clear-cut answer come 2 weeks from now. Once they play that last game of the season, I can give a better answer. But honestly, I think this Florida team can take either of those two teams down, genuinely. They're rolling right now. It's just because the players who aren't supposed to be good are being good right now. It's the weirdest thing. The most random guys are stepping up. Alex Lyon, do you even know who that guy is?
All I know of him is because of the Steve Dangle video from like last week about the Panthers.
Regardless, this man is the third-string goaltender on this Florida Panthers team because Spencer Knight is with the player assistance program right now. Bobrovsky's been injured. I think he's got an illness right now, so he hasn't been playing. It's legitimately been the Alex Lyon show for this Cats team, and he has been performing at an incredible rate. In his last 4 games, .959 save percentage, 1.25 goals against on average. He's 4-0. This is the third-string goaltender on this team. He is saving their playoff hopes and the offense as well, like Matthew Tkachuk, Brandon Montour, Aaron Ekblad. Carter Verhaeghe had a 4-goal game. He's having an underrated season. I think he has 40 goals on the season. He's the leading goal scorer on Florida's team. So they have guys stepping up right now. Duclair is back from injury, which was huge because they needed him back if they were going to have a chance at competing. They can take down this Boston team. They could take down this Carolina team. Will it likely happen? I don't know, but I'm absolutely going to be watching every game because I truly believe they have the best wild card team in the East. I don't think the Islanders have that firepower. Pittsburgh, I feel, is a team that is going to make it. They're inconsistent. You know what I mean? They're streaky, as AJ said earlier this year. A lot of wins, a lot of losses, a lot of wins, a lot of losses. So going into the playoffs, could the streak be a lot of losses? Who knows? You only get 4 chances to prove yourself.
Exactly. And I feel like Boston, and I'm not comparing the two teams again directly, but I feel like Boston, once they get to the playoffs, they're almost going to have a similar problem to what Pittsburgh has already through 78 games. Teams that play fast versus Pittsburgh and play downhill, they struggle against. They struggle against and they can't keep up. Like, look at the Devils game last night. Devils played with speed and they played downhill. What happened? But they blitzed them out of the rock and Dawson Mercer put up a hat trick. Game wasn't even competitive. Boston, with them having a significant amount of dudes on the plus side of 30, I could see that being a little bit of an issue for them. Not as much on the macro level as Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh's roster is it's just built horribly. But that is a storyline that I could see being a factor. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I completely agree with Connor. I think if Florida matches up with Boston, it's I could see
a chance, man. It's a chance.
It's more than a chance. As crazy as it sounds, I think that series goes 7.
Yeah,
dude, I don't even know because
they
got
7.
swept by the Lightning last year, and it's just. I mean, Tkachuk was never. That's the huge difference. Matthew Tkachuk is the big difference right there. Honestly,
I think adding him to that team, because he'll bring the physicality, and the Panthers have other guys that can.
Dude, Radko Gudas broke the franchise record for hits, man. He's coming for hits.
Yeah. Boston, if you play them with physicality, especially if they have a player like Marchand, who might take a dumb penalty or two. He might take a dumb penalty or two if you get under his skin. If you have, Gudas and Tkachuk going after him, he's bound to take a stupid penalty, and that could be the difference.
Oh, I'm ready for it. Gudas lays out 5 guys a game. I swear, he's a hits machine. He is the definition of a straight-up defenseman. He doesn't score at all. He doesn't get assists. Let me throw you down his offensive production on this season. Let's look at Radko Gudas. Where is this man here? He has a total of 13 points. Got 2 goals and 11 assists. Honestly, more than I thought it was going to be. I didn't even expect a double-digit assists. But that's the lowest. So that's the lowest. I believe that's the lowest amount of points on this team for a guy that's played 68 games. You see, that's not even true because there's a guy named Mark Stahl who has the same amount of points in 78 games. So the offensive production is not the whole point. They're rolling on the defensive end. His plus-minus is 11, which I'll give him credit. Good defenseman, gets a lot of hits, physical body. The Butcher. And this Boston team, they have all the firepower, though, so if they win the series, obviously I won't be surprised. But as of right now, they're not even slated to play them. So that's another question I want to have for you guys. Let's look at matchups as they stand right now. We know Toronto, Tampa is going to play each other. If Boston plays the Islanders.
Boston in 4.
Yeah, Boston in 4.
The Islanders are not good. The Islanders, they're not a good team.
Nope.
They're only there because, they're only there because there's no clear-cut teams in the wild card. Like, it's...
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Not Carolina. Pittsburgh and the Panthers have, 80 points almost?
The Panthers have 87. Penguins have 86. Right. Islanders have 87.
It's not... They're just not... I don't... They're the only team that if they make the playoffs and play Boston, that I will 100% pick them to lose. I think Pittsburgh has a shot against the Bruins. I think the Panthers have a shot against the Bruins. The Islanders have no chance.
AJ, are you in agreement here?
100%. 100%. I think if you're Boston, you're chomping at the bit to play the Islanders.
Yeah.
Because I think if they play Florida or Pittsburgh, like we said, the series are going to be competitive. One more than the other. If it's the Islanders, sweep nation.
You never go against picking Crosby and Malkin in a playoff series. I don't care how old they are. They always have a shot if you have those two players.
Now, on the other hand here, the other wild card, as of right now, Carolina, Florida. This one's hard for me to decide, but I would think the Canes would take it, honestly. I don't trust Florida to take them in a 7-game series, even with no Andrei Svechnikov.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a respectable 6-game series. I think it'll be a lot of close games to Carolina. I would have taken.
They need to get Sergei Bobrovsky back. That's one thing for sure.
I agree. I think it would be 6 or 7 games, but I think Carolina takes it in the end.
So now, did we touch on Devils Rangers today?
No.
So Devils Rangers is a first round series. I'm gonna be real. I got the Rangers in about 6.
This, we've been thinking. This series has basically
been on our minds for a while now.
since almost Christmas, basically.
Yeah, I feel like that's
and I still don't know how I feel about it. Because the way that the way the Rangers played against the Devils.
Yeah, how did that last
Thursday,
game go?
It was terrible. It was some of the worst hockey they had played all season. The first period. Okay, it wasn't the whole game. It was just the first period. The first period was probably one of the worst periods the Rangers have played all season. Ben Harper, he's the 6th defenseman. He probably, hopefully, will not be in the playoffs. He might have given the puck away 5 times in that period, in the first period alone. After that, it was the Rangers. They had their chances, but they had, Vanacek played fantastic. Without Vanacek, if the Devils have a different goalie in there, that's a completely different game. Vanacek played phenomenal in that game. It's how the Rangers are going to have to play if they want to win a Stanley Cup, which is you have to rely on your goaltender. That's just how it's going to happen. That's just the team they are. And both teams were that in that game. So I did the one thing.
Hey, that's pretty good.
The one thing that stood out was, for as bad as the Rangers played in the first inning. I said first inning, didn't I?
The first baseball's on your mind, man.
I don't know. I'm watching the Met game.
You got the custom triple play hat on too.
I'm watching the Met game. It's 6-6.
Who made that hat for you right there?
Me.
You made that hat.
There was a hat decorating at the rec last night.
Aw. Dude, why didn't I get a hat?
I don't know. I only made one for myself.
Man, he didn't make a breaking the ice hat.
Sorry. But the way the Rangers played in that first period, I said it before, it was the worst hockey that they played all season. Yet it was only a 2-1 game. And they had their chances. They had a late chance, or Tarasenko missed an open net. He should have scored there.
But he didn't.
That would have tied it late. He didn't. But I did like I did like how they played after that. They played a really bad first period because that is something that they do in the playoffs. They'll have a bad first period and they just cannot come back from it. That's what it happened last year.
All right.
Or they have a bad period and it derails the entire game. And they had a bad period in this game, and it was 2-1. And they honestly, without Vanacek, it would probably be 4-2 or 3-2 Rangers win. So I'm not gonna say I'm confident in this team to win this series. This series could be Devils in 4, Rangers in 4, or either team in 7.
AJ.
I
got you.
I cannot predict right now how the series is going to go. Of course, I'm going to pick my team to win, but I'm not,
Yeah.
If I was not a Rangers fan, I don't know what I would be picking here.
AJ, your thoughts here.
Drum roll, please.
I got it actually legitimately.
The blue shirts!
I had to pull out my Tanner. Yeah, I think the Rangers are going to win this. And you all know how I stand. This isn't a hater thing. This isn't a me with the bets and everything, and with all our Devils people on the show. This isn't me that they're just despising everything about that franchise. I genuinely believe we could be talking sweep.
Wow.
Interesting because as the season series was Devils 3-1, so you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I hear
but here's why. Every young team, right?
Incoming music to Tanner's ears.
Every young team always falls big round one, their first time in the playoffs. Every time a young team has a hot regular season, that's the sexy team, the team that puts up a lot of goals, the team that their fans are going wild about, they come into the playoffs and they get smashed. It happens all the time in hockey, all the time. I think it's going to be no different with the Devils. They are not a polished defensive team. You've heard Daniel. You've heard Daniel and Justin talk about that for, I would say, months now.
Yeah.
That's not the case whatsoever. They're not a physical team at all, even though they can play a physical game.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it translates to a 7-game series or versus the Rangers that it matches up.
Because the Rangers can play a very physical game.
It's a different. People don't realize this. It's a different switch once you hit to the playoffs.
And the thing is,
it's a different game.
The thing is, you have the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
They have the one thing that I guess you could say they were missing last year is experience. They have a guy who has 3 Stanley Cups, who is basically the best player on 3 Stanley Cup teams.
And you just have a guy in
2019 who has been to the playoffs the last 6 years.
Yep. This Rangers team is built for April and May.
It is.
To get to June.
It is.
It's built for this time of the year. This Devils team, this is gonna be a team that's gonna be a force to reckon with for the next at least half decade.
I agree.
They're gonna be a problem.
I agree.
But this year, I don't think it's their time.
I've said
not the fairy tale. The fairy tale will end
because with the Devils, how they play is, and I've seen it live at a game. They're really good at, when a team makes a defensive miscue, capitalizing on it.
Mm-hmm.
But if they try to, if that doesn't happen, if a team plays a good hockey game where they only give the puck away, if they don't give the puck away that much, the Devils they don't really have a shot.
Which you have to give the Devils credit for at least, because
you do.
Because at the end of the day, in sports, when teams make mistakes, you have to capitalize them, and the good team and the great teams do.
Yeah.
I mean, the Devils are a great regular season team, but it's like I said before, it's a different switch. It's a different game.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get to it, it's different. That's
the
only. I'm trying to think of another word to describe it, but it's different.
Mm-hmm.
And let me make this case. I think maybe it goes 5, and maybe it goes to a a 6-game series. This isn't me trying to walk it back, by the way. This is me trying to go to make a 6-game series, but with most of the games where we aren't that close. It's one way or the other. It's going to be an ugly series with the Devils, but I think that getting let's just say, embarrassed by the Rangers in the first round of the playoffs, I think for this core of the Devils, it's going to be the best thing to happen to them.
Yeah.
Why? Because what's the saying? You either win or you learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing as losing. You'll learn a lot. That's why they say you win or learn, because you learn a lot more when you lose than you do when you win.
Yeah.
I think that the Devils, they're going to be able to figure out that, hey, we need to add some bodies into this bottom six.
Yeah,
we need to add guys who have play strength, that can muscle guys up on the boards. That they can get guys on the fourth line. They're going to be able to throw bodies around, win puck battles, what's it called, lock teams up defensively. I think they have some guys on the roster, like your youngest Siegenthalers and everything, that already fit that mold. But especially on the blue line, Siegenthaler, that is. But they're going to be able to, and they're going to have a ton of cap space in the offseason.
They do, yeah.
They're going to have about 35 in cap, so they're going to be able to fill in these holes.
They remind me a little bit of the Rangers team from 2 years ago, where they had the scoring, they had guys that could score, but they had no physicality, and it hurt them. And it was a reason that they didn't make the playoffs.
Can I tell you something? I can even take it one step further.
Mm-hmm.
They remind me of this team reminds me of the Colorado Avalanche in 2019 and 2020.
Yeah, I agree. Because
I think they could get to that level of dominance. I think they could get to that level, and that's probably the nicest thing I could ever say about the Devils.
Yeah,
but
I think for the next 3-4 years, Rangers Devils will be what it.
But the first time in the playoffs that this Colorado core, the first time that they made it there, Tanner, what happened?
They lost.
They got smashed. It happens to every great core.
Yeah.
The first time the Pittsburgh Penguins got to the playoffs with Sidney Crosby and all that, they got smashed.
And this
happens
is
every time.
And as we're talking, this is what
it's not a bad.
I remember. Just Devils fans and just everyone in general was questioning if should they make a big move like Timo Meier.
Absolutely.
Was that, hey, should we give up all our assets for someone this year when this might, when we could maybe do it a couple years down the line?
You do it to experience what playoff hockey is
like.
like.
You do, but I remember it wasn't like this team needs to, trade everyone right now. I remember people saying, maybe they won't give up this year. They won't give up all these pieces this year and try to get someone in the future. But they gave it Timo Meier, and we'll just have to see how much that helps them in the playoffs.
Well, I don't think the Devils would have been the market for a guy like a Tarasenko, like a guy plus 30, after this year he's a free agent, one of those guys, right? The Timo Meier's perfect because he's an RFA. Yeah. He's in his mid-20s. He'll probably end up staying there on a bigger deal. He'll be part of this Devils core that's coming up. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, right, it's not a bad thing to lose in the playoffs for your first time there. It's not. And they are going to get back a lot over this last decade. A lot. But this year, not their time. Official prediction, Rangers in 5. I won't be talking sweep. I'll take that back a little bit. Rangers in 5, but don't be shocked if a sweep happens because I can genuinely see it.
See, if a sweep does happen, I'm sorry. I'm going to be.
You're going to be ruthless.
I'm going to be ruthless. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
But at least when you're ruthless, say AJ told so. AJ said so.
I will.
At least say that.
I'm sorry. The Devils are going to be a really good team for a long time, but if there's a sweep or even if a series win, it's
ruthless.
Yeah, I'm going to be on this show, and I'm just going to be.
He's going to be going.
If any Devils fans are on there, I'm giving them a signature of what happened.
You're going to be the blue shirts in.
Yeah.
All right. Regardless, now let's get into biggest news of the day.
The biggest game of the night.
Breaking the street, Kappa Sig, 9 p.m. Intramural Street Hockey boys. We are going.
Woo.
This is the rivalry match right here. This is the biggest game so far and in the regular season. So now we got 5 minutes left. That's perfect. Talk to me about the blasphemy that was last week's doubleheader.
I got this. So, right, for our listeners, right, what is 6 minus 3? Let's
Three.
give it a
I
little
believe
bit.
it's 3.
3, right? Apparently not. Apparently, 6 minus 3, according to the referees, what's it called on Sunday night, was 6. And if you're up by more than 6 goals or 5 goals, I don't know what the rule is with these refs and everything, right? If you're up more than like X goals, with 5 minutes left to go in the third period, it's a mercy rule, right? 3 is not the mercy rule at all. But we almost lost because of that. Ended up losing 7-3, but on IM leagues, it's still reported as 7-0.
It's reported as 7-0 on IM leagues for whatever reason.
Don't believe it. It was 7-3.
Our goals did not get reported.
Ellie Slonim with the hat trick, absolute stud.
Alex Daly, I was told Alex Daly had the team's lone assist, and 2 of the other goals were unassisted.
Yep. But you won't see that on the stat sheet because apparently Breaking the Ice got shut out, according to the rec. I know. Matt's hard.
But then you guys caught a second win, correct?
We did catch a second win in our scrimmage.
Woo!
We had a scrimmage, figured out the lines at the end of the day. We were like, you know what? We pulled our inner Herb Brooks, back on the ice. You got to figure it out. We pulled our Mike Rusioni, United States of America. We pulled our that moment. We got our lines figured out, and today is a different story. Breaking the ice, baby.
Yep.
Breaking the street.
Breaking the street. We're going for 2-1 tonight.
Yeah.
2-1, and that's going to be the biggest 2-1 ever. Kappa Sig, be scared. Wanted to have John Giftopoulos on today because he is a member of this Kappa Sig hockey team. He betrayed us.
I know.
And decided to switch the worst Rangers fan on the planet. The worst Rangers fan on the planet.
You know what? I think we give a second L of the week.
L of the week, John Giftopoulos.
Wow.
He's getting called out on there. I hope he's listening. He's definitely not right now. But, all I'm going to say is...
Let's give goal predictions tonight. Who will
goal
score
predictions. So
for breaking of the street?
let's break the lines out. Let's break the lines right here,
right now.
right
If
now.
you haven't seen our Instagram post, we will read you tonight's lines.
Tonight's lines crafted. Line 1, we have Chasan, Daly, Graham. That is AJ Chasan, Alex Daly, James Graham. Line 1 of tonight's forwards. Line 2, myself, Connor Cupen. And I'm not familiar with the other two on the team.
Matt Manning and Matteo Macolino.
Have yet to meet these guys. I'm sure they're great teammates. I'll be meeting them later tonight at the game. And then line 3, I see Justin Brady on there. I see Daniel Lamoya playing the center. Who is the left winger?
We got Richie Lombardi. We got a skill guy here. They'll probably end up getting moved up to line 2 by the time ball drop. But
we're playing the ball, not a puck.
Yeah,
so it's
puck.
ball drop. It's ball drop.
They'll probably end up getting moved up to line 2. They're gonna buzz tonight.
We got Nicholas Nardone in the net, tending the goal. And I also believe this past Sunday, the doubleheader, Game 2 team did not show up, so who gets a free win? We get a free win, everybody.
Hey, a win's a win no matter how you take it,
On defense, AJ, give us the lines.
We got our number 1 defenseman, starting Tanner Price.
Left defenseman of the year.
Yeah, on right defense, we got Vitale. And our second line, we got on left defense, breaking the ice's own, Campbell Donovan. And on
Jackson
right
Frisch.
defense, we got Jackson Frisch.
And Jackson Frisch. 2 lines of defense, 3 lines of forwards. We are the largest team in this league. 10 more seconds. I did more. I'm at 13. Boys, we're going to beat Kappa Sig. That's my final statement. Woo! Anyone else got any other words? Because I think that's your last statement of the week here.
I feel like that's it.
Yeah,
that's
it.
perfectly to end the show on.